the Kings-Warriors is a huge rivalry. I think for us, you and me, like in a joking, fun way, but I do want these games. And I don't know how many of our fan base ride with us on that. I'd be very interested to monitor that. There's always going to be a LeBron factor. Like, he's the number one rival, right? LeBron. Right. Forget the team that he plays for. Right. It's LeBron, right? And I think a part of this underdog thing or chip on the shoulder thing from Warrior fans in general, and I didn't want to dive too deep into it because it's more of it's a bigger conversation. It's the fact that LeBron James has a bunch, and he's earned this, a bunch of friends in the media, some are on payroll, some aren't, who constantly take his side on everything.
Right.
And constantly diminish the Warriors or Steph Curry because that's been his biggest rival throughout the body work of his career. At one point in time, years ago, it was, he was chasing the ghost of Michael Jordan. He feels like he's past that. At one point, he was chasing, trying to win a championship through the San Antonio Spurs, through the Boston Celtics. There were different times, but the Warriors have been his bugaboo, and in particular, Steph Curry. And it just feels like to me, from somebody who's in the media, and maybe I'm too deep and too close to the painting to that I see some of the stuff that other people don't see, but I'm like, it feels like every single person who opens their mouth on a lot of these national airwaves is either influenced, paid for, bought by, or trying to seek favor from LeBron James, and it feels very backhanded towards Steph Curry. And I feel like defending Steph Curry, our guy. That's just my interpretation of it.
Yeah, I can see that. I also like the fact that the black-owned business part, that's a great point by D'Lo, what Steph does, because we talk about the golfing thing with the HBCUs and getting diversity involved, trying to make golf a more diverse sport. Steph Curry's at the forefront of that. The black businesses, and I thought he was going to go to De'Aaron Fox route with the Curry brand.
That's
bringing in
where I
De'Aaron
thought
Fox
he was going.
Because when I said this on their show last Friday, but De'Aaron Fox, because we're not going to be able to see him tonight, and he's a fun player to watch.
He's awesome.
He plays the right way. He plays defense. He gets to the rack. He's fast. He's just a baller. And I started loving the guy. When I saw him in North Carolina, played North Carolina. They were playing Kentucky. He was at Kentucky with Malik Monk playing North Carolina, Elite Eight. And they lost to North Carolina in a heartbreaker. And Fox was sobbing so hard after the game, and people were kind of thinking, like, man, you're going to the league. But it mattered to him just to win that game so much. You see a lot of guys who know they're one and done. Like you look at Ben Simmons. He didn't give a damn about LSU. He was just getting his numbers, knowing that, hey, I'm going to stay healthy. Brought up Clowney earlier today. His last year at South Carolina, dude was doing the bare minimum, not get hurt, and make sure that he secured his draft status. Well, Fox and Monk played so damn hard, and he was sobbing, saying, that's the last game with my brothers, man. I'm hurting. And I say, man, he's perfect for Sacramento. So I say all that to say, the NBA has wasted so much time trying to promote John Morant to be the next best thing in the NBA, to be the poster child of the NBA, to lead this new generation. All along, it should have been De'Aaron Fox. Think about what he's doing in Sacramento, embracing that community, leading that basketball team. De'Aaron Fox is everything that kids should be looking up to, saying, yeah, I want to be that guy.
No doubt.
He's the perfect citizen for that. So, not only is he a great basketball player, he's a great person. And that's why I like De'Aaron Fox a lot. I'm so glad they locked him up. I'm so glad they didn't trade him. I'm so glad he didn't want out. I'm so glad that he wanted to stay with the grind. He's the guy the NBA should be looking at, not John Morant. Not Ja. No, well, De'Aaron Fox is the guy.
Yeah, I think we would both agree there. And I didn't think he would be this good of a player. The first couple years in, you could see he was super fast. Could he develop a shot? Could he develop those leadership skills? They were actually talking about in the broadcast the other night about how they've been challenging him for 4 years to be louder, to be more vocal, to be, the consummate point guard that you think of in your mind. And guys lead in different ways. Steph Curry's not a vocal leader, but De'Aaron has really taken on that leadership role. You brought up Jadeveon. The only thing that I would say is that program, and I don't want to get too sidetracked, but Marcus Lattimore did almost lose his entire career to one of the most horrific leg injuries in college sports. So I always felt like Jadeveon got a poor rap when that program in particular knew more than any other. Like, the game is so violent.
Yeah, but
poor kid.
You're playing for your brothers.
No,
guys who don't have a chance to go to the NFL,
but he's also
and you're out there mailing it in. Don't play. Don't play. If you don't want to play hard, don't play.
Yeah, but he was looking for generational wealth. Like, I think there was more baked into that equation. And football is just different for me. But I see the parallel that you're going for.
Did Christian McCaffrey now play hard at Stanford?
Of course he does. But
there's a lot of guys who play hard knowing that generational wealth is on. Jalen Waddle Jalen Waddle down there in Miami.
Yeah. Good
Came back
example.
for the national championship game for Alabama. Had no reason to. Was out there limping, but had to be out there on the field for his players, for his teammates.
Everyone's got to make their own weights on those kinds of things. I don't fault 19, 20, 21-year-old men who are going to be the breadwinners of their family. I don't doubt them or, look at them any different if they don't want to play in a couple of games because they are literally staring at the NFL draft.
I hear that.
I don't know. I'm a little
if you're not going to play hard, though, like don't get on the field. If you're not going to give it all you got, I get it. You want generational wealth? Don't play. Don't play. Clowney melted in that last year. There's no defense.
Lattimore had like the worst injury ever.
Yeah, but there's no defense. There's no defense for melting in on your teammates. That's that. Come on, man. Don't play.
I don't know what. There's a difference. There's levels to this. Like James Harden, with the way he's acted, and making the generational wealth that he's made for 12 years versus a kid who's 20, 21. That's just for me.
Well, there's a lot of 20, 21-year-olds who go out there and knowing that, hey, I'm going to be the number one pick. Guess what? They still play their asses off. Put a ball on Warrior because we got Steve Weiss coming up from NFL Network.
I'm excited for this Kings matchup.
Steve Weiss, NFL Network 920. He's coming up here. We're going to get back into Chase Young. Larry in Roseville, hang tight. I'm going to get to you in a second here. It is a little disappointing on Fox tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're going to see the Kings' depth. But also, I want to see the Warriors continue their good habits. Now, Kuminga's not going to play tonight.
Did you see what happened yesterday with Kuminga and Moody?
Yeah, the extensions. They got their fourth-year options picked up. Happened during our show, right? Yeah. Moses Moody, Kuminga got their fourth-year options.
At the very end, it was awesome. I'm excited. I know it was a formality, but that's a good thing. I mean, thinking of how bad the Wiseman thing kind of blew up in their face and to be able to extend both guys and see them take that third-year leap early on. I mean, it's a long season, but I feel really good about where they're at with those two young guys.
They're playing really good basketball right now. Really good basketball. And that was good that those picks look like hits. Because the Wiseman stuff and everything, he's not playing. We'll see him on Monday, sit on the bench. Hopefully he doesn't sulk. But look, man, we're going to see Chris Paul again for his second home game at Chase Center. And Steph Curry's on a heater. He's made the most threes through the start of the season, first 4 games, than any player in NBA history. Made 24 threes.
Wow.
24 threes.
Wow.
Best start from a three-point shooter in the history of the league. But Chris Paul's impact, I can't get over his impact. With Steph Curry and Chris Paul on the floor together, the Warriors are a plus 15. Now, I don't like the individual plus minus. I think that stat is overrated because, you're playing with Steph Curry. Everybody's going to have a plus, right? But the Warriors, with CP3 without Steph on the floor, that unit is a plus 31, no matter what combination it is.
Really?
A plus 31. So the Chris Paul, I can't get over how well he's fit in with this bunch.
Well, I'll take it a step further. Don't you think he's already turned into a fan favorite?
He's getting close.
I mean,
I don't know. You tell me. I don't.
1 week. Okay, it's been 1 week. 1 week. And I already feel the entire, it has been a tidal wave of change. Honest to God, I think a lot of people are like, all right, I'm cautiously optimistic. Let's see how it plays out. I'll slowly warm myself up to him. And it's like, boom, instantly. I'm bought in. I think the majority of the fan base is bought in. I'm telling you, I think he's already a fan favorite.
So with that said,
it feels like it. And maybe I'm jumping the gun.
Well, no, I don't know. You know the fans better than I do. I see the fans. I try to stay off of Twitter as much as I can now because it's become very, very negative.
Well, think about the vibes for the second unit. Name a guy right now, because for how the last 5 years, Warriors fans, there are 2 or 3 guys that we're gonna find this person who's doing too much dribbling or too much shooting, and we're gonna go after them. There's really nobody off the bench right now that anybody's mad at.
No, the bench is playing very well,
and I think Chris Paul's a big part of that.
All the combinations, it feels like it works. Whether you see Chris Paul and Gary Payton II and Steph Curry on the floor at the same time, whether you see Kuminga down low, or you see Trace Jackson Davis, or you see Saric, or you see Moody, you see Gary Payton II. Even Pajemski the other night had an impact on that win. And they dropped 130 on the Pelicans, and that was with Wiggins having a poor offensive night. That was with Draymond. That was without Klay Thompson, I should say, and without Jonathan Kuminga. Now you get Draymond back in his first home game of the season. You get Chris Paul here, and it is the Sacramento Kings. And I think the Warriors are going to want to make a statement. Stacking wins here. I was talking to Lubman on the phone.
The key,
because,
stacking wins.
Look, is this team going to be healthy all season long? I don't know. They're the third oldest team in the NBA. Third oldest team in the NBA. How likely is it that Steph plays 80 games?
Who's older than them?
I think Milwaukee's one of their older teams.
Okay, that makes sense. Lakers?
They're on the young side. They got a lot.
Milwaukee
of
makes sense. That makes
maybe
a lot
the Clippers.
of sense.
Maybe it's the Clippers.
Maybe the Clippers. Okay, no, that makes sense. I was just curious.
Third oldest team.
I like that stat. Third oldest team. Well, if you could stack wins now, Bonte, to me it gives you leeway to be able to pick and choose lineups down the stretch.
Where I was going to go here was that when you stack wins, when these injuries do come, like the championship season, when Steph got hurt for 18 games and Draymond Green had to miss 36 games and Clay was not playing back-to-backs, they stacked so many wins during that 18-2 start that when they did limp it to the playoffs, it was all good. They still won 53 games and had a top 4 seed in the playoffs, number 3 seed overall. Now, if you can stack wins this year, when Chris Paul does have to take time off, if Draymond does have a setback, if Steph Curry does miss time, you stack all these wins to where that margin for error. That's why it's so disappointing with the 49ers. They're 5-0. You stack all these wins. You're able to build a gap between you and Seattle, but you lose 3 in a row. And all of a sudden you go into the bye week and you're looking up at Seattle instead of looking down.
Had you just won one of those 3 games, found a way to win one, you could accept being where you are. It's just tough to accept after the 5-0 start to lose 3 in a row. It's tough losing 3 in a row in the NFL.
No, it is.
It's really difficult. And then heading into the bye week leaves a sour taste in your mouth. But I have faith they'll rebound. On the Warrior front, I want to see Clay hopefully get back out there. I know he had the right knee soreness. That's very vague. And Kuminga, I believe, left knee. Was that what it was? Left knee. Hope both those guys are back in there. But I was very encouraged to see Podziemski have positive minutes. And I don't know if he's jumped Corey Joseph. That feels a little strong. But I was encouraged that Steve Kerr trusts him to use him so early.
Yeah, no, that was well, you had to. They're running 13 deep.
Yeah.
They didn't fill the last 2 roster spots after cutting Rodney McGruder and Rudy Gay. I never thought they were going to make an impact on this basketball team. Warriors cut bait with them. But at 13 deep right now, maybe they'll add a player later on. Maybe it's a 2-way guy. We'll see about that.